So property is the thing that I'm most keen on, and how I made myself financially free. And basically, my story is I came from South Africa in the late 1980s, and I was actually a computer programmer. And I worked for a few years in England, and then we started a family, and we had 4 children. And I decided that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mum while our children were growing up. And I actually stopped working before the internet was around, so it's quite a long time ago. And during that time, I taught myself about Microsoft Office and, Word and Excel and all those sorts of things. But I didn't have any formal education or anything like that. So once my family had grown up, I then decided I wanted a job. And basically, the only job that I could find was to become a dinner lady. And I thought, I've got so much experience, life experience, and, I think common sense. So I thought I need to find something that will challenge me. And I went to a few seminars, and then I came across the Fielding Financial Family, and that was the property course that I did. So I educated myself, and then I teamed up with my partner, Tanya Carlson. And between the two of us, we bought a whole lot of HMOs, and we made ourselves financially free within 2 years. And I feel that I didn't have much education, and, if I can do it, most people can do it. It took a lot of hard work and a lot of determination, but we got there. So I just want to say some myths about property. Firstly, people say you need a lot of money or a huge salary. So, between Tanya and I, we didn't have any money. What I actually did is we increased our mortgage on our own house. So we had some money, and we put that money in the bank. And to this day, we've still got that money sitting in the bank. And we use it sometimes when there's sort of an emergency. But basically what we use it, so we just keep it there, basically. And we use it as proof of deposit and things like that. But we joint venture with other people. And you need a huge salary. Well, we didn't have a huge salary either. My non-property income is something like £200 a year, so it's not very much. And Tanya doesn't have a huge salary either. It does help if you've got a salary of at least £25,000, because then you can get mortgages. But neither of us had that, and we still managed. And my husband didn't have a huge salary either. I mean, we were comfortable, but, we have 4 children, and we had mouths to feed and a house to run. And, we didn't have any savings at the end of the month. So next is you need to be good at maths. There's so many apps nowadays that you just don't need to be good at maths. Neither of us, Tanya or myself, are particularly good at maths. You need to know how to add and subtract. But basically, you either use an app or a spreadsheet. I use a spreadsheet, and you just need to know what numbers to fill in, and you just fill them into the spreadsheet, and then it tells you whether the deal works or not. And so that's how we've gone about it. The next point is that everyone is trying to scam you. Well, there are scammers around there, but every deal we do, we do it with solicitors, and we make it as watertight as we can. And basically, I would say just you need to get to know people and to trust them, and only then, decide if you want to do business with them. And I feel that if a deal is too good to be true, then it generally is, so I would walk away from it. And the next one is that it's risky. Well, it's only risky if you have got no knowledge and you don't know what you're doing. If you've got the knowledge, then you can see whether a deal is going to work or not. And a big property person, his tagline is, if you don't risk anything, you risk everything. And I really agree with that, because you have to take some risk, but you have to just take an educated risk, and just make sure you know what you're doing when you invest in property. So how to get started? There are lots of free seminars you can go to, and most of them are trying to sell you a course. And I would recommend going to a few of them and seeing which seminar suits you, or which course, if you're going to do a course. It is possible to just go online and educate yourself online. It takes a long time, and you don't know if you're getting it right or not. But there are lots of Facebook groups you can join. There are lots of YouTube videos, lots of forums. There are property magazines as well. So there are lots of ways that you can educate yourself. The quickest one is to do a course, and that's the way I did it. There are also lots of networking groups all over the country, and I would recommend just going to a few and just mixing with people. We actually hold one in Crawley, but if you look at, there's a property magazine called Your Property Network. If you look at the back of that, there's adverts of most networking groups in the whole country. And so we run one on a Tuesday night once a month in Crawley. And basically, half the people there aren't landlords. They just are interested, and they want to know, if they could get involved in property. And it's also about wealth creation. It's not only about property. And so what we do is it costs a little bit, up to about £20. Some of them are £20, some of them are less. And we have 2 speakers every time we run it. And then people just network and swap cards, and you just get to know people. And I would recommend going to networking groups. And then there are different strategies. So people say, oh, well, does property work in London? Does property work in York? Does property work in Edinburgh? Yes, property works everywhere because people live everywhere, but different strategies work in different places. So the strategies here, BTL stands for buy to let. HMO is a house of multiple occupancy. So that's when you rent out all the rooms individually. A flip means to buy a property and do it up and sell it. R2R stands for rent to rent. So if you rent a whole property from a tired landlord, and then you can rent out the individual rooms, or, you decide what you do with it, And SA stands for serviced accommodation. So that's like Airbnb, almost like a guest house accommodation. So basically, if you are going to go and try and buy a buy-to-let property in the middle of London, you're going to spend £2 million on it, and your mortgage will be £1.5 million. The chances are that strategy won't work because you won't be able to rent it out for enough money to cover your mortgage. But if you took the same property and you turned it into serviced accommodation, so you ran like Airbnb in London, that might work very well. So you have to just assess each individual opportunity, and then you can decide which one works best for you. And the next thing is how to be successful in property. So you need knowledge, and you need time, and money, and ideas, and then gumption, determination, and tenacity. But basically, often one person doesn't have all these things. And that's why it's so good to joint venture in property, is because different people bring different ones of these to the party. And so we found joint venture, Tanya and I have found joint venturing is just so advantageous for everybody because different people bring different things to the deal. And just while I'm on property, I just would like to just add this in, that when you rent a property, landlords have to supply you with the following. They have to give you this book called How to Rent. And if you go onto gov.uk, you can just download it and read it because it's got a lot of good information about how to rent. And this is a picture of the book on the side. And then if there's a gas boiler, they need to give you an annual gas safe certificate. They need to give you an energy performance certificate. So that tells you how efficient in energy your property is. So if you've got 2 very similar properties and you can't make up your mind which one you'd like to rent, if one has got a high rating and one has got a low rating, I would go for the high rating because that means that your heating bills are going to be less. And actually, as from April 2018, you won't be allowed to rent out a property from you if it's got an F or a G energy rating. And smoke and carbon monoxide alarms if there's solid fuel. So you must have smoke alarms. If it's an HMO, a house of multiple occupancy, then there must be mains wired in. But if it's a single let, then it can just be a battery-operated smoke alarm. Now, if they take a deposit from you, if the landlord takes a deposit, they have to protect it in a government scheme, and they have to give you information about it. And if they don't, you can go through a process of claiming 3 times the amount of your deposit back. So, and also an inventory. Now, they don't have to give you an inventory, but if they don't, then they can't take off any money for damages at the end of your stay, because they can't prove what state the place was in. So it's up to a landlord to actually give you the inventory. So I hope that's been helpful, and I'll carry on in the next video.